Let's talk about a material that's so incredible it literally defined an entire age. But it's also so permanent that it's probably going to outlive all of us. Yeah, we're talking about plastic. To kick things off, I want you to try wrap your head around a number. 5.25 trillion. That's the best guess for how many pieces of plastic are floating in our oceans right this second. Not billion, trillion. It's just a staggering amount. And here's the real kicker. With just a few tiny exceptions, pretty much every single piece of plastic that has ever been created is still out there somewhere. It might be in a landfill, floating in the sea, or broken down into dust, but it hasn't gone away. It can't. So you have to ask, how on earth did we get here? To understand that, we've got to go back to the beginning, to the birth of this forever material. It all started way back in 1907 with something called Bakelite, but the real game changer, that was the 1950s, when mass production just exploded. And then, boom, 1973 hits, the PET bottle is invented, and our whole single-use culture was pretty much sealed. And when I say exploded, I mean it. Just look at these numbers. In 1950, the whole world produced about 2 million tons of plastic. Fast forward to 2023, and that number is 400 million tons. That is a 200 times increase in less than a single human lifetime. It's wild. Okay, but the problem isn't just the stuff we can see, like the bottles and the bags. The threat that's maybe even more terrifying is the plastic we can't see. And that brings us to this invisible invasion that's happening inside our own bodies. You know, we have this huge misconception. We talk about plastic decomposing, but it doesn't work like an apple core. It doesn't biodegrade, it just fragments. Sunlight and waves just beat it up, breaking it into smaller and smaller pieces. First microplastics, and then even smaller nanoplastics. And to give you an idea of what that means, take one single plastic water bottle. Over time, that one bottle can break down into something like 750,000 tiny microplastic fragments. Every one of them is small enough to get into the food chain. And this is where it stops being just an environmental problem and becomes a human biology problem. Seriously, in 2018, scientists first found these things in human stool. That was pretty shocking. Then, by 2022, they were found in our blood. And just recently, in 2024, they were confirmed inside human brain tissue. So, how is this even happening? Well, it's because we're completely surrounded. It's coming from our drinking water, from old pipes, and from the bottles themselves. It's in the seafood we eat. We're literally breathing it in from clothing fibers and tire dust. And of course, it's leaching into our food from all that plastic packaging. Now, get ready for this. When you add all that up, the best estimate is that the average person is taking in about 5 grams of plastic a week. What does that look like? It's the same weight as a credit card. You are eating a credit card's worth of plastic every single week. And what's it doing to us? While the science is still emerging, but what we know is scary. These little particles are like tiny toxic sponges, soaking up nasty chemicals. They can set off inflammation in our bodies, they can mess with our hormones, and they are so small they can get past the most secure defenses in our body, like the barrier that protects our brain and even the placenta that protects a fetus. But wait, I hear you say, what about recycling? That's the solution, right? We've all been told for decades, just put your plastic in the right bin and everything will be okay. Well, let's take a hard look at the data behind what some people are now calling the Great Recycling Myth. So this is it. This is what's happened to all the plastic we've ever made. A whopping 79% of it is just sitting in a landfill or polluting the environment. 12% got burned, and only 9%, a single-digit number, has actually ever been recycled. 9%. It's gotten to the point where some experts look at that little chasing arrows symbol and call it one of the most successful marketing campaigns ever. It convinced all of us that the problem was our responsibility, not the companies making the stuff in the first place. So why is recycling such a mess? Honestly, it mostly comes down to money. It's almost always cheaper to just make brand new plastic from oil than it is to collect, sort, clean, and reprocess all the old stuff. Plus, when we throw the wrong things in the bin, what they call wish cycling, we can contaminate whole batches, and the whole lot just gets sent to the landfill anyway. Okay, so if recycling isn't going to save us, what will? It's time we started looking for real solutions that go way beyond the recycling bin. And this right here is the fundamental shift we need to make in our thinking. This isn't a problem of waste management, it is a problem of production. The only way we're going to solve this is if we turn off the tap. We just have to make less of it, period. And how do we do that? Well, there are policies that actually work. Things like making the companies that produce the packaging pay for what happens to it at the end of its life, banning the worst single-use items altogether, and using bottle deposit schemes, which in some places get back over 90% of bottles. And there is some really cool stuff happening in science too. We've got researchers creating super enzymes and even bacteria that can literally eat plastic waste, breaking it down in hours, not hundreds of years. And there are new bioplastics that can actually biodegrade safely. Now, this tech isn't ready to save us tomorrow, but it's on the horizon. Which really leaves us with this one final, kind of absurd question. We went out and invented a material that's designed to last forever. So why in the world are we mostly using it to make things we're designed to throw away after just a few minutes? If we can figure out the answer to that, we might actually be on our way to solving this whole mess.